Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the Daily Sovereignty Report. I'm your host, Aaron Thomas. My hereditary name is Howheaton, and today is Thursday, June 25th, 2026, and we're diving deep into the massive shifts happening across Indian country from historic land returns to the hard fought battles for utility and energy independence. Before we jump into the policy updates and today's headlines, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this broadcast. Your shares are how we bypass mainstream media and get the real tribal news directly to our tribal communities. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, we're going to start with federal policy and legislative battles. We start with the battle brewing over federal funding. At the 2026 Government to Government Conference, tribal leaders sharply pushed back against proposed budgets and budget cuts for the 2027 fiscal year. The Department of Interior is looking to slash over $1 billion from the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Bureau of Indian Education. That includes a devastating $150 million cut to tribal higher education. Leaders like Jamie Ashur of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa are drawing a line in the sand, demanding the federal government honor its legal obligations. Now, why does this matter? Our tribal colleges provide cultural and academic lifelines that mainstream universities simply cannot replicate. The sovereignty take is education sovereignty is our inherent right to educate our own people. Now, when the Big Hill, the Washington, D.C., when they cut these budgets, they are violating their trust responsibility, the legal obligation to support tribes in exchange for the very land this country sits on. Now, meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Mark Cruz of the Klamath tribes stood before the Senate Committee of Indian Affairs for his confirmation hearing to lead the Indian Health Services. Cruz defended his dual role as a senior advisor to the HHS secretary, arguing it gives tribes a direct line to the top. Now, why does this matter? The Indian Health Services handles health care for millions of our people. We need strong leaders who won't back down. The sovereignty take? True sovereignty requires healthy communities. Having native leaders in these high ranking federal positions ensures our government to government relationship is at least respected, holding federal agencies accountable to their promises. All right, let's get to another section of this show called Land Back and Community. Next, we look at a massive victory for the land back movement. The Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa is celebrating the return of 3,400 acres of ancestral land in Minnesota. Now, why does this matter? This isn't just about acreage, it's about restoring a tribe's ability to preserve wildlife, practice traditions, and protect sacred spaces. The sovereignty take? Land is sovereignty, period. You cannot fully govern a nation if you don't control the physical territory. This return restores the tribe's legal authority over their own natural resources. All right, out here out west, California is investing $38.2 million dollars in grants across 68 federally recognized tribes to fight homelessness and build affordable housing. Projects like the Kashia Band of Pomo Indians 22-unit affordable rental community are leading the way. Why does this matter? It bypasses state red tape, letting tribes build homes that fit the actual social and cultural needs of their members. The sovereignty take? This is self determination in action, y'all. Instead of outside government agencies dictating how housing should look, tribes are designing and executing their own community driven solutions. All right, let's take a look at some history and culture. Today marks a profound historical milestone. Up to 10,000 people are gathering at the Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument in Montana to observe the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Little Bighorn. We honor the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors who stood their ground to defend our way of life. Now, why does this matter? It's a moment of deep reflection and a reminder of the incredible resilience passed down to us. The sovereignty take? This anniversary reminds the world that tribal nations fought as independent, sovereign powers to defend their treaties and treaties that remain the supreme law of the land today. All right, today's deep dive, we're going to take a look at some utility sovereignty. For today's deep dive, we're looking at the massive momentum behind tribal utility and energy independence. Across Indian country, tribes are moving away from external reliance and building their own infrastructure. At the recent Tribal Energy Gap Summit in North Dakota, leaders emphasized a critical transition, building localized clean energy grids. By creating independent power systems, tribes are protecting their citizens from skyrocketing corporate utility rates. Those rates, by the way, are usually dictated by the utility commission of each state. Now, we're seeing a wave of tribes establishing their own tribal utility authorities, or TUAs, to regulate and distribute their own electricity, internet, and water. All right, the federal government is starting to catch up to this energy rush. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, or BIA, just opened applications for $6.8 million in tribal energy development capacity grants. Crucially, this funding supports the TERA, the TERA framework, which is the Tribal Energy Resource Agreement. The big picture? Under TERA, tribes can review, approve, and manage energy leases on their own land without waiting around for federal approval on every single project. That is utility sovereignty, y'all. No more federal red tape. Tribes powering their own communities, setting their own environmental standards, and fueling their own economic independence. All right, that wraps up today's briefing. The path to true sovereignty is built on education, land, and the power to run our own communities. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Sovereignty Report. I'm Aaron Thomas. Hauhitan is my traditional name. Before you head out, please make sure you like this video, leave your thoughts and comments below, and share this post with your network so we can keep changing the narrative back to where it belongs, back to the hands of the tribal people. Stay strong, stay sovereign, and I'll see you right here tomorrow morning.